All right. Welcome to a very special episode of Tats and Cats podcast. My name is Alex.
And I'm Lee.
We are here at an actual CQB shoot house. We just took a class. So this is a very special episode for us. As always, we are brought to you by Rifle Supply in Huntington Beach, California.
And RKB Tactical.
And Inkton Tools for tattoo artists booking software need. If you hear gunshots, it's because we are at an actual training facility. Yeah. It's awesome.
If we're a little sweaty, don't mind us. We've been running around in full kit all day, sweating. Brett's been making us work. So,
speaking of which, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, this is Brett Christenson, formerly Christenson Combatives, formerly Iron Goat Defense, and now it is.
Now we have Paratus Defense Group. So, yeah, the whole slew of names.
And by the time this airs, the name will be out.
It'll be out there. So, today was actually the first official class running under the new rebranding of everything with you guys. So,
heck yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
It was a great class, man.
Super good.
Yeah, thanks for being here. This is our last, you're our last guest of season 2. Yep. Our next episode is going to be recorded live at a Rifle Supply event, and we're going to just have like talking to random people there. Yep. So thanks for being our last guest of season 2.
My pleasure. Thanks for you guys coming down after training and doing it.
Heck
so
yeah. Awesome.
Making it like I said, easier on me at the end of the day. So, but
for sure,
it's very special.
Awesome. So jumping right into it, we usually do an EDC pocket dump. I know we just got done with the class, so you may not have anything on you, but maybe go through what you typically carry on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, all I got right now is my trusty Benchmade folder. So that's right now. Yeah, we just got done with the class, so there's no, obviously that everything gets sanitized out there. But normally I would have, I run a SIG 365.
There you go.
That's my go-to for my day-to-day. Other than that, I'm a SIG 320 guy. So
even after the pending lawsuit that they just finalized?
I've not been following that too much. I figure ignorance is bliss on that one sometimes.
I mean, you could have got 2.3 million. You could have got that.
Yes, I should have. So, yeah, for whatever reason, I became a SIG guy. I hated it when I was in the service. We ran the SIG 229 DAK. Ooh. Absolutely hated that gun. But then a buddy brought in the SIG, which one? The Legion, the X5.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Shot that, and I was like, and I fell in love with that whole series.
And then if you want, just make sure you have it angled right in. With your SIG, do you have a red dot, light? How do you carry it? Extra mag, all that stuff?
Yeah, I just run red dot on that. That's my eyes kind of letting me go. It's much easier nowadays with that. Typically, I don't carry an extra mag, so situation depending, but usually I'm just running the one mag. And that goes against some of my training that I normally do. So, but that's how I run it.
Nice. Like if you can't take one person down with one mag, then you probably shouldn't be carrying, right?
Very true.
Do you carry like a light, pepper spray, handcuffs, any weird stuff?
No light, no pepper spray. I keep tourniquets in the truck. There's always lights in the truck ready to go. But my piece with especially for my firearm personally with the EDC pieces, I keep it pretty simple.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of guys that run, Cerakoted and they got the lights and that.
Bunch of nerds like
might have suppressors on them at this point. But my take on it personally is keep it fairly simple, because if you do have to use that, you're gonna lose it. They're gonna take it from you at least for a while. And the idea to me with that is no one's supposed to know you have it anyhow.
Yep.
So who cares if it's got fancy paint job on it? No offense to anybody that does have. I've got a couple of guns that are definitely quote unquote blinged out.
Yep.
But for that EDC piece, I'm like, keep it simple as long as it goes bang when it's supposed to. So
I think that's why I went back to my Gen 3 Glock 19 for a while. I was like, it's rugged, and I had an incident. I almost had to use it. I was like, you know what? I don't want to lose one of my nice guns. Let's go back to Old Faithful.
Yep.
I was like, nice. You can pick one of those up every day, $400 or $500. So.
Right.
I just got to say, I love that they've been shooting barely at all day.
Yeah.
And now that we're doing the podcast, it's that's how it goes. Cool, man. Background. A little bit about yourself, your history, and what you're doing now.
Yeah. So 20 years in the Coast Guard. Just retired in 2020, right before all the COVID BS.
Lucky.
So, I lucked out with that. There was no issues with the jab, any of that.
Nice.
But, yeah. So, it was a blessing. Got out right in time. It was definitely my time to get out, but I had a great career. So, as I usually put it, don't ask me about the normal Coast Guard per se. You see the orange boat
Yeah.
out there, off the bay in San Diego or up in Huntington Beach, wherever, like checking life
Yep.
jackets. And like, I don't know that. I spent my first 3 years on a cutter, the larger ships
Okay.
in the Coast Guard, doing some drug patrols and fisheries. That's all I know of, like the normal quote unquote Coast Guard. From there, I lucked out. I came to San Diego actually to TACLET, which is the counter drug team out of here. So with them, I spent a lot of time Central South America. And at that time, 2003, when the war was kicking off, they were spending a lot of time over the Middle East.
Nice.
So that was the unit going over there at the time, doing all the weapons, oil, embargo stuff. So I had a lot of fun with that. Did my time there and then got selected to the counterterrorism team out of Chesapeake, Virginia. So went there in 07, went through the green team selection for that, got selected for that, and spent 8 years over there on the team and had an amazing time. I hated Virginia Beach. I'm not going to lie. I'm a West Coast, but the job was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, but then there was the opportunity finally. Some things happened, and then they were starting up the West Coast team actually here in around, I think it was 2014 or 15. Yep. So I got selected. Come over and actually, I had to go to the training side of the house, but they were also within starting the team here. They had the training detachment. So I got selected, came out as the lead for the training detachment, helped stand up the West Coast team.
Right.
And then in the Coast Guard military in general, their great decision making my last 18 months of service. They said, well, now your billet's up. I was like, I'm retiring. You're my 20. They're like, we don't care, and send me to North Carolina, Jacksonville, Camp Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune.
So
Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water.
That's like the fourth time that's come up on our podcast.
yeah. So yeah, they sent me back there. That's where the primary schoolhouse is. So I spent my last 18 months training new guys coming into the pipeline at the what they call the Advanced Tactical Operators course.
So you were like salty and bitter but getting put on the East Coast for the
Yeah.
game, right? You're like, all right.
But so then it was like, cool, retirement time. Hey, back to the West Coast. Buddy was working here where we are right now at the Academi Training Center.
Mhm.
And he's like, hey, I think I might got a job for you. I was like, all right, cool. Move back, gets me back into San Diego. From there, yeah, it was my time to get out though.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, I do miss it now. Like,
Yeah.
Miss being in.
part of
Yeah.
it's like, all right, there's still something there. So, but I
Yeah.
think that's where, Academy training the Navy kind of helped pick some of that up. So,
We get a lot of that with a lot of guys that have served or law enforcement, whatever. Even tattoo artists. Your career becomes so much of your identity when it's time to step away. It's hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
So from there, I was worked here for a bit, and then I started my own companies, and we progressed. You talked to that, progressed in that piece, but that's the idea of trying to stay in it, and I feel I have a decent set of skills that I can pass on to people, and I feel I'm fairly good at being able to pass those skills on to people to make everybody better.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, that's what I like to do, so that allows
For
me
sure.
to.
Agreed.
When you were back to your background, you said in the beginning it was a lot of drug stuff. Can you talk about that? What's some of the stuff you were encountering? Where it's coming from? What kind of what's the action like?
Yeah, so there it was. Like I said, mostly out of Central South America. It's coming up. Mother load and mother ship. So they'll put it on the fishing vessels. Looks like a standard trawler out there, a couple 100 miles offshore. So you're hitting those, or then running the go fast boats, which are just loaded down with the cocaine, and they're just trying to fly under the radar.
Yeah.
So nothing crazy there. Back then, it was a lot of what we call space accountability. So you would board the fishing boat, and then you're on the hunt. It's because they're crafty. They're hiding it in bilges. Literally, one was the buoys on the fishing net.
Oh,
They had
nice.
stuffed them inside of there, and then re-encapsulated it to just look like the buoy on the fishing net. So I think like
Wow.
300 buoys later, cutting them all open.
Wow.
So they're very crafty. They figure it out. The go fast are easy. That's right there in the everything. But it's the fishing boats, the trawlers that take a little bit of work.
Yeah.
That was fun because we did work under a bunch of customs authorities, which I forget the exact rules now, but it gave us a lot of freedom to kind of do whatever we wanted to find them. So there was definitely some boats that have been cut up. Some rightly, some wrong.
Yeah.
Intel's not always the best.
Did you ever encounter one of those homemade submarines?
That was coming in after
Okay.
I stopped that.
Those
Yeah.
things are
So
wild. They're just like barely under.
Yeah.
So you got the famous video of the guy hammering on.
Oh, yeah.
Scuttle. Yeah, that was actually our sister unit out of Miami, Florida.
Nice.
TACLET South. That was those guys. So yeah, that was after my time. But we did see, they were starting a mine to do liquid cocaine. So they're actually dissolving it in the diesel fuel. And then when they get back in port, reconstitute it into cocaine. And you're like,
Dang. So you got a little gas in your coke.
yeah. And for that, the biggest threat was usually we've had a couple boats where they were set on fire. Scuttling was a big one, trying to sink them. So that was the big piece there of, get down in the engine room. If they've tripped any scuttle valves, get those closed off. Damage control. So we had our damage control training, so go in and stop the flooding. And okay, now we can figure out what's going on.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. In the Coast Guard, are the rates like similar to the Navy? Like what were you?
Yep. So Coast Guard, we follow the Navy structure system, petty officer. I came in as a bosun mate initially. So that was my initial rate. And then in 2000, it was about 8 or 9, Coast Guard came out with ME, which is the Maritime Enforcement Specialist.
Nice.
So the idea there is, let this pause for just a second. Now they're going to town.
Like, it doesn't pick up a lot, but it might pick up that.
He's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead. Target down. Target down.
Yeah, so I think it was around 2008, 2009, they came out with a specialty rating just for the law enforcement side. Because they were realizing, we were all out of rate. And the fear back then was, as a bosun mate, I might have been out of rate doing the cool guy stuff. But then all of a sudden the detailer's like, hey, you're just a BM2.
Yeah.
I need you to go do what you're supposed to do in the Coast Guard. So we lost a lot of good people.
That makes sense.
To that, of like, they've been doing this drug stuff for, 5-6 years. Now they're going back to the regular fleet to their rate going, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And you've lost a really good guy. So
that would suck to do all that training. Then next thing you know, you're heave-ho and you're like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. Like,
yeah, exactly. So finally realized that, especially with the creation of, again, MSRT on the East Coast, they realized, hey, we need to keep guys in this going, keep them in rate. So they came out with that, which was a great first step. And now they've done different things as far as, standard Navy, 3-4 year billets initially. So then again, you're like, where am I going? It was better. Now they've got 6-year billets. And now once you're in the community between the East Coast and the West Coast, you're able to stay in. I was actually at a retirement ceremony for a friend last week who did his 30 years. I'm like, holy, like 30 years, that's huge.
Master Chief or something?
Yeah, he was a Master Chief.
Yeah.
Yep. But I was like, holy.
Is that from Halo?
No, it's the Navy. I know because like my old man was a BMCS, so he did 26 years, and BMs in the Navy at the time, they were jammed up, so he couldn't pick up that second star. So
Gotcha.
he was just like, dude, you get up senior chief, master chief, like you're doing way more than 20. So
yeah.
But then you get 30, like I see all the master chiefs now, the CMCs coming off the ships that we work on. They're just like 81 days. See them the next day, 80 days.
Yep. But no, it's cool because I was able to see some guys that like I had actually put through training years ago at the unit as they were starting up, and I'm like, and you're still here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
That's really cool.
Super.
But
cool.
is it though? You're like, fuck, I'm getting old.
Oh, yeah.
But still, get him, get him, get him, get him.
So a question we ask a lot, usually it's in like a training capacity. We ask like if there was a time you felt out of your comfort zone in a class, but I'm more curious that question for you in your career, like maybe an operation or a time where you're like, oh shit.
If you can talk about
Yeah. For me initially it was always, and I'm in the Coast Guard, so but anything initially over water, I was like, what the am I doing here? So I was not a good swimmer coming to the Coast Guard. So initially I was like, I prefer the helo, come in,
Heck yeah.
drop down, you're good. I was like, every time doing like a hook and climb out of the small boat, like in the back of my head was like, if I fall off this ladder, I can see the big prop on the ship running. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just get chopped up, and I'm not a good swimmer, and I'm already now wearing an extra 80 pounds of gear. Like,
You
I'm
got you got
going,
an ideal swimmer's body.
yeah. I'm a rock in the pool. Yeah, I'm like the closest point of land's a mile below me, and I'm going straight to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was always my initial like fear within like getting into the community and doing all that. And it's
Yeah.
like I am not a good swimmer, but got the water wings, whatever, something will save me.
Yeah.
That just don't fall off the ladder.
Just don't fall off. Yeah.
And when you were on the that team, what was you guys' uniform looking like?
Oh God, the uniform.
I've seen a picture of it. We're gonna post it right here.
Man. So our initial uniform coming in, we thought we were high speed. We got to wear, initially we were wearing green flight suits.
Okay.
With the TACLET. So we're like, cool, we're good there. Back east, when I went over there, they were in blue flight suits.
Oh wow.
So flight suits great for pilots. It wasn't
You're like not
better than what we had initially, but then you're like, we're in these blue flight suits running around wherever, like, and we always said blueberries in the wood line. So you don't blend in with anything. They're not practical. So then we went through all this stuff, and I was the one that bought the first set of Cry multicam.
There you go.
So
I think that's a picture that you posted recently.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's the one we'll post. It's super cool. Like, look at this stud.
So we started that whole process of like, hey, let's T&E this uniform, get it in. I remember my lieutenant at the time, we were butting heads because I was like, multi-camper, just go all in.
Yeah.
Finally got the combat uniform approved. The Coast Guard was like, yes, let's move forward. But they were like, on the camouflage, it's
come on,
Coast Guard, law enforcement blue. So like, I remember going up to Cry Precision there in Brooklyn, and they're like, we will not make it in blue. Don't even bother asking, which was the answer I wanted.
Yeah.
I'm like, come back to the command. I'm like, they won't make it in blue. So, so we settled on the OD green originally. Okay. I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll work it. I think 6 months later. Yeah, so they get that. Like 6 months later, all right, everybody's in multicam. Nice. So that started that process, and it's actually pretty cool now because even the training command back east, all the other commands are all now multicam. That's cool. Everything. And I'm like, I had a little bit of piece to do with all that.
So that's your legacy right there. That's awesome.
Because those new uniforms are rough.
Yeah.
We service the Coast Guard ships out of Pedro.
Okay. Yep.
So they'll come into Seal Beach, just a little hop over to us, and small arm stuff, nothing crazy. They don't really haul much, but haven't had a cutter on the new pier yet. Maybe soon.
That's cool.
Yeah, because they'll probably be in the standard ODU blue.
Yeah.
Kind of like the BDU, but Coast Guard's got to do their own thing every time. And
I don't know if you've seen it, but the Navy now has adopted a identical uniform to the Coast Guard.
Really?
They call them the two POCs. So the only difference is that instead of U.S. Navy here, they swapped it over to here. So your name tag's now over your heart instead of your branch, which is weird.
Yeah.
But you put them side by side, and it's the exact same uniform.
Interesting.
It's really weird that the Navy did that.
Huh.
Sucks for them.
Okay. A lot of our viewers are people that are into training, firearms, and tactics and all that stuff. And obviously, a lot of tattoo stuff as well. Another good question we always ask: what's a overlooked aspect of training you see people? It's a two-parter. So, an aspect of training that people are overlooking that they should pay attention to, and an aspect of training that people are like hyper focused on is super unnecessary.
Under focused on, I would say, is the dry fire training.
Hell
yeah. Dry flows, all that. Like it's boring. It's not the sexy, exciting stuff, but that's where you build that foundation. You work that draw, you work the presentation, you work the magazine changes, all of that. It does help. So 100%. You don't have to go to the range, spend whatever they spent today, shooting a little bit, the ammo prices these days, do the dry fire. It's going to help out. So
you hear that, guys? How many guests do we have to tell you? Dry fire.
Dry fire. Yep. Fundamentals. Stop trying to go fucking fast right away.
100%. Should I probably do it more myself?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you get into a little bit of a time sometimes where you're like, man, I did this for 20 years. Like, I got it down, and you do, but I can definitely notice,
Yeah.
like, if I get on the range, I'm like, ooh, I have slowed down a little bit. So that's that reality check of like, oh yeah, I do need to keep up on it. So
Yeah, because cold is cold. Like we've done, I think it's our third class with you doing CQB stuff. One of them was night vision, and every time
that was a good
first run is
That's a
like,
great one.
what am I doing? You know, like
Yeah.
that first cold run is always rough.
Yep.
So
Yep. And that's
Yeah.
the one they always used to harp on us, going through the training is that's the only run you
Yep.
technically get.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
there is no redo in real life. Like, and that's how we would go into the training day is just hit that first run. And sometimes it was really ugly.
Yeah.
And you got our asses handed to us. And then you spent the next, 6-8 hours that day of like, okay, let's figure out what we did and refine it.
Yeah,
But we always kind of went into that mental attitude of like, this is the one. So
for sure.
second part of your question, the hyper focus piece. I think it's probably on the cool guy gear, like the gadgets, the stuff that just like,
Yeah.
again, it's back to those basics. Brilliance in the basics was always hammered into me by one of my initial team leaders. And just, yeah, I run a red dot. Love them. Again, my eyes are not as good. So, like, I use that as the excuse to get to with the red dot. But I do like them. But, like, iron sights are still amazing. It's like a manual transmission in a car. Should still know how to drive a stick shift. So, stick with those basics and then graduate up. But, you start with all the super high speed and then you go back to the fundamentals, you're going to be like, oh, crap. Don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Have you tried a green dot yet?
Yes, that's actually just putting one on my
So they're-
pistol the other day. It has not been zeroed yet. So if we go to the range, it's
Those are good. Those are good for people with like bad eyesight or
Astigmatism,
astigmatism.
yeah. Yeah, I did realize
autism.
Autism, autism.
Does it help that too?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that today. I think there were some newer guys, and you
Deer-
step into a class.
Yeah, deer in the headlights. We saw that a lot today.
Yeah, yeah.
What
Like
do I do?
you haven't hit the
Whole section that got
fundamentals.
missed.
Yeah.
We saw that, and they were just like, "You're dead."
Yeah, like run it again, but you died.
Yep.
You got anything? I've like
Yes.
that question. Yeah, go for it.
The CQB question.
Yeah.
Okay. Since I'm not the tattoo artist, what was your first tattoo?
First tattoo was actually can't see it anymore. It's covered up by the tree here. Horrible idea of some Chinese print that was supposed to be my dad's name.
Oh.
Probably said, won't even say it from here.
Father.
Oh, it's YouTube. It's probably like, "Fuck this guy's dad." So,
Exactly.
so you're like, I don't know. What does it translate to?
Yep.
Motherfucker.
so-
Technically, I just do that.
That's why I love YouTube. You can say whatever.
Yep. So I made that mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, had a couple others that were just basic, whatever. And then finally was like, I need to build and
Yeah.
actually design.
What was your last tattoo?
So my last tattoo is finishing up the flag
So
here.
Nice.
That thing's
So
awesome.
that is actually out of Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Oh,
Do
cool.
they charge you more? Because that's a big ass flag on a big ass arm. So.
Yeah.
So funny thing is, I go into the shop. It was an out of town artist because there are no good,
Yeah.
well, personally, no good artists in Jacksonville. Don't get a tattoo.
Shout out to Jacksonville.
Hope you don't watch the podcast.
Just kidding, I'm sure. But anyhow, this guy was out of town because he did used to work there. So, he's out of town, coming into one of the shops. And there was actually, I forget his name. He had some legit work out of that shop. I'm like,
Nice.
dude.
That's cool.
But I walk in, he's like, holy shit, dude, your arms are like you're like legs. I'm like,
It's a leg
he's like,
piece.
this
It's
is
a
gonna
back piece.
yeah. So like he did the initial, it ended up turning into a 2-session. He had to come
Yeah.
back into town because he was only there for a couple days and finish it up.
You're like, I'm doing good.
That's right.
That's awesome. It is hard, as a tattoo artist. Sometimes there's like a sweet spot, like you don't want super skinny, scrawny arms with no muscle or fat. You don't want like super low body fat. Like that's kind of tough to tattoo.
It's kind of where he's at right now, man.
Like, yeah.
That wasn't quite.
It's a little harder. And then you don't want like super, super fat. There's kind of like a middle ground of all those where it's like just the perfect skin. Tattoo artists are weird. We like pay attention to people's skin. Like I will tattoo someone and be like,
that's your canvas.
you got
that you're-
really nice
it's-
skin. You moisturize.
Is that why you told me that?
That's like, yeah.
Your skin tattoos really well. I was like, kind of weird, but thanks.
But like, think about it. We pay attention to it. I can usually tell someone like drinks a lot, if they smoke cigarettes, if they have a good diet, if they're hydrated. Like seriously,
that's creepy. That reminds me of like the Departed, the movie where Jack
I'm
Nicholson
thinking a lampshade behind you.
like that.
Yeah.
Like Jack Nicholson killed that lady, and he was like, she fell funny.
He like laughs,
Yeah,
right?
like she fell for.
That's amazing.
So I've got a question for you then on the tattoo. I'm going to take it just because
I love it.
Yeah,
because I've got the shoulder piece here. And
Yeah.
obviously, I've got like a decent size shoulder,
Yeah.
and it's like,
that's a back piece.
what's gonna like what would be good there? Because I do need to finish this arm off,
That's a
and I'm
great
like,
question.
it's kind of funky, you know, like
People hate
Bulges.
this answer from me because they'll be like, "Oh, what do you want to tattoo, or what should I get?" Man, so many answers. I, as a tattoo artist, could make pretty much whatever you want work in that space.
okay,
Now, if you have an idea that won't work, I'll be like, no, 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 no. Right off the bat, like I know you have a skull on the back, but like a big detailed skull would be super cool. Just because it's got that like rounded part to the top of the shoulder.
Family crest shield type of thing.
You also like
Ah.
being with your background on the Coast Guard, you could do something with the ship and the water could blend right into that flag really well. And you
Yeah.
could have like a nice little skyline cloud sun thing at the top.
yeah,
But I also like when people are like, oh, what's a good idea? I'm like, I don't know, like a flying unicorn, like holding a
Done.
bazooka. You know, like I can think of weird stuff. I don't know if you'll want any of that.
Right,
The
yeah.
company logo, you can just try to, we all did it.
There we go. Yeah.
yeah. I've always just like I don't know because like it's a weird shape, like is it gonna deform something up there?
I would
So,
say give your artists some ideas, some stuff that's important to you, and then a
Yep.
good artist will be able to come up with something based off that. But
Perfect.
Just go see Alex.
yeah, come see me.
Yeah.
I'm in HB, not too far.
no, not at all.
All right.
Let him trace that back piece real quick. we get a rough estimate size.
So a question I came up with on the drive up here is
Great question.
a lot of people would look at like we've been taking the CQB classes and a lot of people would be as a civilian, why are you taking a high speed CQB class? What's the purpose of that? And I was curious for you as an instructor, what you think is a good reason or a valid reason to take CQB as a civilian person?
No, that's a good question. And we get that a bit like, yeah, why teach civilians some of these tactics? Are you going too far, maybe? I mean, nothing's classified, nothing's secret.
Yeah.
It's all open source in reality. So there's nothing there. For me, teaching the civilian that, I enjoy it way more than teaching a pistol level 1 class. So, but I think there's a valuable application and it should hopefully have come across to you guys. Usually in the class, I try to put it in some aspect too of, civilian life at your home.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about, kind of the laws, little different, things to think about there in regards to, potentially having to shoot somebody in your home to defend it under, castle doctrine, bring those kind of pieces of the puzzle in. And then we usually try to touch, like, hey, think about, you're doing this with a team right now, but you can still apply the same tactic solo. Got to modify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have that force multiplier in your home of your wife, your spouse, significant other, kids even.
Yep.
Not that I don't want kids running around with guns all the time, but I have mine teaching and training on airsoft right now.
There you go.
Awesome.
Same here.
Build those fundamentals.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
I've got from 8 to 15, 2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh
We're
yeah.
in the same boat.
Yeah, I get a little CQB squad then.
right?
Like, stack on me, kids. Stack on me.
That's awesome.
I think it's put into that context of like this is still valuable within your home, especially what's going on in the world today.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
take it outside of the close quarters realm here of the home, and sometimes we'll talk a little bit about the urban environment and just what cover concealment, those kind of things, and always thinking of you're out and just being aware of your surroundings everywhere. So
That was a big piece in the last class. We were dealing with some issues of like leaving someone behind and chasing the snake around,
Yep.
chasing its tail. And you had mentioned something about like this is applicable just it doesn't even have to be in a combat or self-defense situation. This is like you're at the grocery store with your kids and being aware of like where everyone is, where the exit is. Like there's a lot of things that apply to just regular life that have nothing to do with combat or self-defense.
Yep,
We touched on that before too, about like the families and the lots of kids, and like as a male in this world that's training, you should always be looking out for that mom that's by herself with all her crazy
Mhm.
kids, because dad's working. We always just try to be that person and look out for him, and
Because I would want
hopefully somebody would do that for us.
exactly. Yeah, my wife's
our kids, like,
Yeah.
with the kids right now. So
yeah,
Yep,
so,
100%.
Yeah.
You look at what's going on. I mean, I think I just had yesterday up in the Anaheim area a attempted kidnapping on a kid.
Yep.
Like
yeah.
it's right in.
Yep.
So just having that situational awareness and this kind of training is just going to help
Yep.
keep that
Like
a little bit
crazy.
sharper.
Yeah.
Again, you got to train that. So
Like
Yeah.
crazy stuff, like that lady who just had unfortunately killed that child in the shopping cart, and the mother was defenseless.
Dude,
Yeah.
that was a tough
was a
one to
brutal-
watch, man.
brutal
Because that
story.
kid was the same age as my kid, and I was like,
And it's like,
dude,
if you were, trained in firearms, maybe you could have prevented that.
yeah.
Yep.
Or
medical trained, you could have.
yeah,
Response times suck.
yeah,
Like
yeah. And I get it.
we do get that a lot though. Like, oh, why are you guys doing CQB? I was like, I do the flat range. Feel like we're pretty good at flat range. Like, it's cool. Always do it every couple weeks. People are like, well, I'm just gonna go to the hills with my long gun. I was like, that's cool. We have little kids. Like, it doesn't fucking work.
You're
Yeah.
talking about like a shit hits a fan scenario. Yeah.
People are like, I'm going to the
Yeah.
hills. Like, okay, cool. I'll be over here in my house that's like prepped, bunkered, and I'm doing CQB if I need to resupply runs with my boys or anything. I can't take little kids.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got a 4-year-old at home.
Yeah.
We're not living in the fucking woods. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I live in the real world. If shit, hopefully it never happens, but
I
hey,
would rather be
For
plus
me,
it's
it's
fucking
somewhat
fun to hang
prepared
out
at
with my
least.
buddies.
I think that's the biggest,
The camaraderie.
one of the biggest, like, it's multiple. I think it starts at the most realistic reason for me would be self-defense within the home. Again, I'm not going to have a team of guys. It's super fun to train it in the class, but, I'm at least training on that level makes it easier when you break it down to like your house, understanding angles and certain things.
Yep.
And then there's the incredible fun aspect of it. It is like constant processing of information, decision making. It's
100%.
like mastering a skill that's so different than any
I told
other.
him that. I was like, take your first CQB course with me. You're gonna love it. He's like, why is that? I was like, because your brain is fucking working 1,000 miles an hour, dude.
It's
Yeah.
You're processing. And he was
Yeah.
like, you were so right, dude. I love this shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Like the physical side in reality, not too much. At
You
the
get
end of the
bored?
day. It's the thinking. It's the like
you get bored on the flat range.
yeah. Oh yeah.
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 I'm right there with you.
So, and I think a good actually happened in this shoot house right here. We were running a home defense course,
Okay.
and we had a regular client that come in on the flat range. Awesome shooter, like legit, probably better than me as
Yeah.
far as like just keyholing it. Like just he could drive tacks on that gun. Great on paper, great static. Had him in here doing the home defense. We introduced a force on force scenario at the end, and completely locks up and
Yeah.
freezes. And like shots are being fired at him.
Ah.
He's back in.
Yeah.
He kind of goes and pursues the guy as per the drill. Gets him actually in one of those back rooms there. Gets him pinned. The guy's pointing the gun at him, but he notices it is at slide lock, but he couldn't tell that initially.
Yeah.
It like took him a while to figure that out. But we're like, why aren't you shooting? Like we didn't even know he was at slide lock. He's like, I've trapped. He can't go anywhere. He's like, I don't feel right shooting him.
Shoot it. You're
Like,
not a doctor.
He's been shooting at you. He's broken into your
Yeah.
house. Like he
Yeah,
didn't initially know he was at slide lock. His reasoning was that, well, he can't run anywhere else. I've trapped him. I don't feel like the guy is pointing the gun at you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't tell right now whether that thing
Yep.
is serviceable or not. So,
Yep.
but unfortunately, we've never seen him again in any
that
training.
sucks.
So I think on the mental aspect, that kind of got him. I think that's a big piece of the training puzzle within the CQB or a home defense class, and force on force especially, is like you learn a little bit about yourself of like, everyone thinks, oh, I'm great on the flat range, I'm going to do this, or they buy the gun, it's on my nightstand, I'm ready, I'm set.
Yep.
But they don't actually know the mental aspect of it all.
It's a big humility check. If that's
'cause
the
on
right
flat
way to
range,
put
you're
it.
just a solo superstar. You go in
Yeah.
a team
Yeah.
environment and you get a job and you're like, what the fuck do I do?
Well, even just like we're doing dry runs, right? Like no targets at first, just getting flow and all these different things. And you go into a room, kind of like subconsciously know it's going to be clear because we haven't done targets yet, but you still, you're scanning, you're looking. And for me, in the back of my head, it's like, I hope when there's a target there, I'm actually processing as well as I think I am, because it's
Right.
easy to kind of autopilot
Yep.
it. And on the first room that I got, once we did targets, I had a target. I was stoked because I just went into like subconscious. I actually like flipped my gun to fire and pulled the trigger faster than I could audibly say bang bang because it was just like a subconscious reaction. I was like, I'm so glad that was my
Reaction.
my
Yeah.
natural reaction, not like
We're gonna hunt down some blue bolts. Lee says he's sitting on a fucking cache of UTM. So
I don't know if that's even legal anymore because
it's
the
100%
ATM.
legal. I
Okay.
can't read rules, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What else you got?
I have. What does the future hold for the new company? Because I know Iron Go. It's going to be still the EP, right?
Yeah, so we've got Iron Go. Without going into too much specifics, we're still in the whole separation phase.
Okay.
But I am splitting from Iron Goat, which is the security company.
Okay.
We brought in Iron Goat Training Group, which was Christenson Combatives, just make things streamlined, simpler.
Yeah.
Obviously, though, as we split the partnership, Iron Goat will stay with that partner
Okay.
as a business, and that's the security company. Iron Goat Training Group will now dissolve,
Okay.
rebrand under Paratus Defense.
Heck yeah.
Paratus Defense will also be security company plus the training side,
Awesome.
a little bit of everything.
Awesome.
Right.
So realistically, we're going to end up catering more on, or not catering, but putting our efforts into the training side. That's what I do enjoy at the end of the day.
That's
so
cool. When you guys do security stuff, you guys do a lot of stuff at the border, right?
yeah.
What are you
Border's a
guys
huge
doing down
thing.
there, security wise?
So
if
for
you can
that,
talk about it.
yeah, we've got a couple initiatives that we've been working down there. Some of it's, the security side of taking Congress members, different political figures down there to quote unquote do their tour. I've been to the border. I care. Some of those, yep, some of them you're legit. They're legit. Like, okay, they're trying to hopefully make a difference. Some are definitely there strictly for the photo opportunity,
Yeah.
for their campaign.
So you guys going into Mexico with them or just right up to the border?
Just up to the border.
Right.
Actually, we were on ABC News once, and I jumped over into Mexico to collect some passports and other documentation. And ABC tried to prod oh, why are you now in Mexico? You just crossed illegally into.
Oh, now you care about illegal border
I was
crossing?
I think this is a little different.
Wow.
So that's been that. We've gone down there. We have plugged up a couple holes with razor wire with another volunteer initiative of just going in and trying to we understand we're not going to stop it, and they're going to move the effort 10 feet down, whatever the case. But hey, we finally have had enough. Let's start closing some of these gaps within the wall. Do something.
Do you think it's worse than anyone knows or is pushed on the news?
Oh, it's 100% worse.
How bad is it?
Yeah. Every time you're down there, we're encountering 200 to 300. Most of them are male-aged fighting men. Most of them are from China, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, wherever. The countries that don't and you don't just leave China for any reason. You're coming for a purpose.
Yeah.
So
I've heard from someone I cannot name that I was like, oh, you think they're like, I don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
It's bad.
People can look up in the news. They've been testing local bases on gaining access, just walking in. That happened in Pendleton, China Lake. It's not hidden. You can dig for it and find it. And I think they're just testing security measures on gaining access, which is not hard right now. So
and we were just down in Texas a month or two ago with a group. Can't talk about that too much, but that was also the whole child trafficking piece we were working and doing some stuff with that, which is obviously another huge piece of the puzzle. It's not just these fighting age males coming in. We've got the sex trafficking of young children as well coming in. So trying to get more involved in all that as well.
Which that taps into train, because you never know what's going to happen.
For sure.
100%.
Come find a solid instructor like Brett.
For sure.
We found him. Wish we would have found you sooner. We tried to get you before the whole Paula thing happened.
Okay, yep.
So because
I missed that place.
Live right up the road from there. So
do you think I have tons of friends who will travel to Mexico for vacation and stuff, and oh, this part's safe, this part's safe. I personally am just I'm good.
I'm okay.
How realistically in the safe parts, Would you
I
take
mean-
your family down to Mexico for vacation?
Well, we're going on a Mexican Riviera in a
Okay.
couple months for our 2-year anniversary.
There we go.
But that's the cruise.
Yeah.
Ports,
Yeah. Yeah.
Your major ports, they're going to be safe because they understand that, we're pulling into Cabo for a day. Cabo understands their entire existence is
Tourism.
U.S.
yeah.
tourism, in reality. So a lot of those major port areas like that, they understand. So they do keep them safe within that, area.
Yeah.
And we even find that pulling in with, Navy ships into
Yeah.
different areas, the actual port itself and that immediate area, super nice. Police everywhere, like they understand that.
Yeah.
Obviously, U.S. service members there, but the second you hop in the old taxi and like we're gonna go explore a little, you're like, all right, now we're on our own,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's definitely a little bit of shady areas. So
We did our honeymoon. No, it was when we got engaged. We did a little cruise down to Mexico. We did wherever La Bufadora is.
okay, yep,
And so, but it was like 30 minutes away from where we were docked or whatever. And my wife did. And they're like, there's two things. You could go straight to the La Bufadora and do the gift shopping, or you can stop, do a horseback ride on the beach, and then still get and so like, we'll do that. We think
Yep.
we're on a bus full of people doing that. We're the only ones that get off. And they're like, don't worry, we're 15 minutes from that destination. We'll go drop the rest of the people off, come back. When you come back with the horse, we'll be waiting for you. So we're on the beach riding horses and stuff, like 30 minutes plus. We get back, no bus. I'm like, I don't know where we are. And I have my brand new fiance. I'm like, but it worked out fine, but that was not a fun moment.
Super cool.
Like I just sent in that group chat. That guy was like traveling to Afghanistan with his whole wife and kids and family and stuff.
Super weird.
I'm like, I think that's wildly irresponsible to take your family to a country where there could be danger and you have no way to protect yourself
yeah,
or your family.
definitely
It's
some
crazy.
areas that
I remember that.
Yeah.
just stay out of. Like Afghanistan is beautiful, yeah, but
I'm bringing my little
taking
kids there.
family, they're not
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
So
How about this? Since it's kind of obvious, and some people might ask questions about it. Fitness for you.
okay, what do you
Yeah.
want?
Dabble a little bit in
Let's
there.
go.
I feel like you might. What's your fitness background? How long you been doing stuff, and what are you doing now?
Fitness background realistically started when I really got into the service, like a little bit before, but nothing major. Then I got into the service, and that's where CrossFit, obviously before it was even really CrossFit. Used to do a lot of triathlons. Again, that was part of my. I'm not a great swimmer, so I'm going to learn how to swim, which actually then led to me doing triathlons and competed in a half Ironman once. So didn't really do that good, but I did it.
Did it.
I accomplished it.
You did it.
So so I started that whole piece back when I was on the team. I was like 180 pounds, but there it's all about endurance and body weight stuff, really. So
What are you sitting at right now?
225 right now.
You
Been
are-
as high as
You
270.
are a big ass 225.
So
Shit.
Like, I'm 230.
I'm 260, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Where is it?
yeah, so
I got the legs. I didn't get the leg arm.
we got surgery for that now.
Oh, yeah.
So 2000, I think it was 14. I got into Strongman. I had a complete distal
Ooh.
bicep tendon rupture, so I was in a sling for like 8 months.
So now it's super strong.
Yeah, now it's like bionic. It's
Yeah.
great, So I've got a full hip replacement, so that's doing good.
You
Yeah.
have a hip replacement?
Yeah, I got a
You
full hip
look
replacement 2
fucking
years
good
ago.
for that.
So,
Holy shit.
you should have seen me a couple years ago walking around here, like barely walking. It
Really?
was bad.
I carry you. It's okay.
So, but,
Wow.
but yeah, I had that. Got recovered from that, and that got me into Strongman actually. And my ex-wife at the time was also competing in Strongman, and it's like, oh, let's give this a shot. Totally fell in love, and that was
Yeah.
like the start of the strength sports.
Yeah.
Before it was all endurance. So started
Powerlifting's
Strongman. Did a bunch of training with that. Competed. 2018, I actually won the Arizona Strongest Man
Hell yeah.
for the old guys, the masters, the
Rad.
boring guys. So but
Super cool.
went to nationals, went to the Olympia a couple times for
Nice.
that. And then moved on, got into powerlifting then, which really started building a big base of everything as well. Because I wanted to put more size on, and I was stuck around 230, 235 with Strongman, because in reality, Strongman's a lot of cardio.
Yeah.
It's a lot of heavy weight, but there is a lot of moving. It's short distance, but it's a lot of moving. So
She went strongman and then powerlifting.
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around.
Usually it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So I went in, then into powerlifting.
Oh, so you were just fucking killing it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
the last
okay.
unit back east when they're like, hey, you're going there for 18 months before you retire. Like, and I'm in like
Okay.
strongman Mecca out here and powerlifting Mecca. There wasn't much
Yeah.
in Jacksonville, North
Yeah.
Carolina there, but got into it. Finally did a big bulk and went from 235 to 255. And that was really starting the like, all right, now I'm going to put some actual size on, which is what I wanted to do at the time.
So in powerlifting, did you compete in the 240s or 275s?
What was I in? I don't even remember.
Or
Honestly, I don't remember it
275.
was probably the 240s because I was around the 250, 255 mark during all that.
Like,
so
did you get crazy? Did you cut or just whatever you came in that day is?
I would just whatever
Hell yeah.
for that. Strongman, I would cut to make weights to all that. Powerlifting, I was pretty much
Super
just.
cool.
I didn't take powerlifting, the competing like as seriously. It was more of a fun just to see.
Well, when you do strongman,
So-
it's not right because like people are doing their 1 rep max, and you're like, yeah, we had to do that for 10 and then carry it and then come back. And
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Strongman was crazy and it was nice because you do your cut to make the weight for
Yeah.
whatever category affiliate you're in, but the next day you're competing all day. So
Yeah.
you might come in at 230 to make the weight, but you're competing at 250.
Yeah.
Fully loaded. Same with powerlifting. It's
Yep.
the same idea. And then I move into bodybuilding. 2022, I think 21. Yeah, is when I went to bodybuilding a little bit to be like, hey, I need to give my body a little break. Like, been beating it up with a
Yeah.
lot of heavy weight, had the hip surgery,
yeah,
things like that. So went to bodybuilding, and then I did my first show, and that cut was miserable.
Yeah.
Oh,
what'd you place?
place first.
Hell yeah.
Well,
Did you get a pro?
check you out,
Did you get a
man.
pro card?
Did not get a pro card. So I won my first comp, super heavyweight.
Nice.
So I think I weighed in at 225, which is super heavyweight.
Jacked.
Took that qualified me for nationals like 3 weeks later.
Okay.
So that was rough going from a comp and then 3 weeks
Whoa.
later
Staying in that
back
prep.
on
Oh.
stage. So I weighed in on that one at 227. So, and I mentioned the weights here for a reason
Yeah.
in a sec, which that got me second place. So I didn't get my pro card.
Oh,
I was kind of like, but I was like my first year competing.
Yeah.
Come on,
not bad.
not bad,
Not bad at all.
When's the next
um,
competition?
What's that?
When's the next competition?
Probably the next summer. So we're
Okay.
focusing on the business right now, doing that piece. But definitely I've like been slimming down. So just to take the weight off.
Yeah.
But
Do
I
you have
mentioned
a-
the weight with the comps again because a week later I was 275. Went
Whoa.
from 225, 227 to 275. My body just like ballooned up.
Those refeeds, huh?
Inflammation, bloating, held every piece of, and I wasn't even eating like crazy. I was trying to do a decent reverse, but
Yeah.
my body just because of all the stress it was under, just blew up.
A lot of
I
that's
was like,
water too, yeah.
a lot of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that 3 weeks in between the comps. Was just miserable.
Because
You're
you're
just like,
Dude.
fuck, I just got off prep. I got to stay
Yep.
in it. Oh my.
My coworker Andrew, shout out to Priest Tattoos. He's a bodybuilder, first time ever doing it. He's on a cut right now. By the time this airs, the competition will already happen. But I think he's like a week and a half, a week out, and he's just, dude,
Yeah.
miserable.
Last
We can
couple
always tell,
weeks.
like, because he's on a very strict like eating schedule.
Yep.
You know, it's like every 3 hours he's at the microwave eating the same thing over and over again. But when it gets close to that feeding time, we'll make jokes. It's like he's talking to a customer and he's like, why are you saying sorry? And we're like, he needs to eat.
Go eat, buddy.
He's getting hungry.
I've been there. Yeah, because I was going through, our church has a business program, part of their ministries, and I was going through that. And that was at night. And there were some nights, it's supposed to be business casual dress. You're supposed to look nice, the part. There was a few nights where I came in like hoodie, sweatpants,
Yeah.
hood on, and there was no, I'm like,
You're like,
don't talk to
Don't talk to him today.
Not in the right mindset. Like, yeah, just I'm here. You're lucky I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's crazy though. He'll wake up at 3, work out, and still be the first one into the shop, and then work till nighttime. And like he's
Okay.
putting in the work,
Gotta
man.
be on 2
Good.
days. Brett's on 2 days right now too. Morning cardio.
Yeah,
lift.
I'm back on
Yeah,
2
I think
days.
he's doing lifting in the morning and cardio.
I like that. I like that you're doing that. You're posting that, like your workout routines.
Yeah.
Like I screenshotted the back of my eyes, and I was like, I hit that. Like
Nice.
the same day.
Nice.
'Cause he
Perfect.
messaged me. I was in the gym. He's like, get it. I was like, I'm on like hour 19. I gotta go before I fall asleep because I won't do it when I wake up.
Yeah, you're working some crazy hours. It
Crazy.
sounds right now.
That's what.
Yeah.
I got lucky that the all bases. I think it's all bases. The gyms are 24/7 now,
Okay, nice.
even holidays.
Nice.
Can you get a guest in there?
Yeah, Dusty trains there.
Oh yeah. But
Yeah.
could you get me in there?
Yeah.
But I don't want to work out at 3 in the morning.
Security's not great. You can
Just test the security.
bums
Just run
come
in
in all the time.
for real.
Yeah.
Dude, I was at Knott's Berry
There you
Farm.
go.
There was a bum in there. Homeless guy.
You know what else is Knott's Berry Farm?
What?
My gun.
We can edit that part out.
Nope. Your security sucks.
I'm a season pass holder, so I would never do that.
Do you have a coach for bodybuilding right now?
Not currently. I did. So yeah, I've had coaches through all my. That's one thing I definitely realized. Like
Yeah.
I'm a DIY guy. I like to figure things out,
and
but there's a
you're doing it.
point of like, hey, somebody knows better. So yeah, when I got in Strongman, hired a coach. Powerlifting, hired a coach. I know enough to get myself hurt in reality. So same with bodybuilding. I was like, all right, let me get the coach. He knows, especially when it comes to the diet piece. Like that's in the water manipulation. You're going down to 3% body fat at the end. It's just insane. And my coach did really good. He kept me at like 240 the entire prep for 4 months. I was the night before competition, I was eating 2 double doubles and a bag of French fries to like, he depleted me so good, but there was that rough cut, but then he, bulks you up, but they understand that science of it, but it's tough because,
That's
right. Who was your powerlifting coach?
Powerlifting was Brandon Lilly.
Shout out to Lilly.
So yeah.
Cool. We got one final question we always like to ask our guests. But before we get to that one, do you have any last questions? And do you have any message you want to throw out there? Questions from you?
Yeah, just when's the next class we're gonna do? I know we got to figure all that out.
We got to figure that out. So yeah, like we don't need to go into all the Academi stuff. We'll be getting it going. I think it's worth it. So regardless of it's a business. The business needs to make money, but there's also you guys. The people that need it, want it. And that's what drives me. So it's like, cool. Academi is going to raise the prices. Whatever.
We'll pay it.
Boo Academi. No. Love you guys in reality. But yeah, so it's just a matter of like, hey, make it work. And I think today was a bigger class for sure. Usually we cap it around 12. Just to try to keep that, smaller class size so everybody gets the attention they do need. But I think it worked out well today. I think we had 17.
17.
Which is definitely on the big side.
Yeah. But it worked.
But with what I wanted to do, it actually worked out really well with doing the multi-team stuff. Again, something you're probably not going to do in your day-to-day life, but it helps just build another component of everything and just makes you again think some more. So I think if we can run some more bigger ones too, that obviously just helps with the money coming in to pay the facility 100%. And keep getting you guys what you need. So
cool.
Supply and demand. There's not a lot of facilities around here that we can do anything. So
no, it's really when Academi was looking at closing down, that was like, ooh, this is not going to be good because there's not much around here. Like you said, there's strategic operations up in the San Diego area. They're really good, but they're a smaller facility too. And
we always look for abandoned buildings.
Yeah,
that's where we're at right now. So I'd rather be able to come somewhere where we won't get in trouble with anybody. So.
Yeah, for sure. Any before our final question, any final thoughts, ideas, anything you want to throw out there to the people watching, anything like that?
I think on my end, really, it's just getting out there and being as prepared as you can for whatever life's going to throw, whether that's mentally, spiritually, physically, making yourself a better person, whatever that looks like to you exactly. Not everybody's going to be a 225-pound bodybuilder, a 250-pound power lifter, not everyone's going to compete. Not everybody wants to. Not everybody needs to. That drives me to help keep me in shape. But I think everybody needs to be, within the physical side, have some kind of physical fitness, at least to like, hey, I can protect myself, my family, and those around me, especially as a man. Like that's what we're supposed to do. We are the protectors. And if you can't fight your way out of a wet paper sack, then you're no good to anybody. So, that on the physical side, mentally, all the mental awareness stuff, like that's just a, military piece. Keep yourself straight, at the end of the day, whatever, again, that is, trying to have those healthy habits, going to friends when you need a friend to talk to. Like I personally, as a guy, I don't go talk to people a whole lot on things. I keep everything bottled up, which sometimes is not a good thing. So
most of us do.
That's what we do. As I tell my wife, I put in a little black box. stuff it way deep in the back of my head, and you forget about it.
You know,
Guess what? Those little they come back. So
so I'm lucky I got this freaking guy right here.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it helps, man. You gotta like, because as a man, leader of your family, whatever, husband, father, they don't want to hear it. Realistically, like your wife, my wife, I love my wife. She means it. When she says, "How you doing?" But honestly, I don't think she wants to hear the truth.
Yeah.
I think it scare the fuck out of her.
Yeah,
They can't handle the truth.
we actually
know?
had that last night. I started going down, like dropping a little bit more of the truth bomb than I normally have, and I was like, "This might be." She handled it very well, but there was definitely, some like, "Oh,
Yeah.
dropping more than I normally do here." So
My wife will check in with me every once in a while when she feels ready for it about like world events. And like I will warn her, like, are you sure you want to know like what's really going on with Russia, China, Ukraine, all this stuff? And like sometimes I'll start and she's like, "No, I'm good. I don't know that."
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. You got it. I'm good. I don't need
Yep.
to, but it stresses her out, so
Yeah, but that's you as the man of the family of like, hey, I take that burden on so that
gladly.
hopefully, yeah, she
Yeah.
doesn't feel the stress of it, and she shouldn't. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
Like that question you asked a few podcasts ago. Yeah, it was two ones. Austin, when you said, does your wife know what you're capable of, violence or lethality wise? And so my wife and I talked about it after, and she was like, and I kind of told her my answer, and she's like, I kind of assumed that, and she's like, but I'm glad I don't really think about it in that way,
Yeah, like it's one of those they shouldn't know.
No,
'Cause,
no.
like
Yep.
especially like for kids, like you got to be dad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it when my kids sometimes ask those little prying questions of like, "Oh, what did you used to do?" And you're like,
Mhm.
going down that. Nope. I was in the Coast Guard. I saved lives.
Yep.
That's what we
Daddy
did.
was a good man.
I should have listened to like my dad. He's like, when you have kids and you get older, you understand.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, my dad was like, nobody really cares about men.
No.
So
Nope.
we have our own burdens.
But that's why it's important we talk to each other. Because like if anyone's gonna understand it, it's your homies going through the
But
same
now it's
stuff.
more open. Before it was like, ew, what are you fucking, what do you,
Yeah.
like, why? What? No.
Yeah, I think
suck it up. Suck it up.
well, I think our generation is doing a good job of like breaking past that. Like you can't talk about it. We're also a lot care a lot less about having a macho persona, like we're a lot goofier and sillier while being able to take on all that stuff at the same
I
time.
feel like
I don't know.
I mean, the dark humor is always there, but gotta have fun in it. But at the same time, you gotta be able to
No one to
flip that switch.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's exactly it.
All right, you have to ask the final question this time because I always ask it.
But you're so good at it.
You say that every time. I'm not falling for it.
We usually ask this question. The the answers are usually the same. But what do you currently think is the biggest threat to America?
Biggest threat to America right now is Joe Biden and the entire administration up there. That is hands down. Yeah.
Last season, it was a different answer,
Yeah.
and it was always the same. It was like our own division, these things. This season, it has been Joe Biden every time.
We got to Newsom once.
We got a Newsom. Yeah.
Yeah. They're about the same. They're California, it's Newsom Nation. Biden,
For sure.
Well,
Newsom is definitely down to
Newsom's
destroy
gonna-
this state. So
He's going to be the their selection.
By the time this airs, it might already
yeah,
be
after
happening.
the whole
'Cause
debate last night, or was it last night, the night before? Like,
Yeah.
that was
Because
rough.
after the debate, even like his side was like, "Oh yeah, he's doing really bad," so that's just they're in to swap somebody else out.
yep.
Yeah.
That should be all right for California because shout out to Sheriff Chad Bianco running for California governor.
That would be sick.
It's like,
Yeah.
if this state goes red, I don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem is a lot of people think California, it's the liberal, democratic. It's a lot of red in this state.
It's just little pockets.
Yeah, it's the
of
pockets.
the
San
blue that
Francisco,
control the state. It's
Sacramento,
crazy.
but like where I live in the San Diego area, it is all red. It
Yeah.
is Trump. It is, hardworking. Like, and that is, in reality, a lot of California. It's got
Orange
the bad
County's
rap.
like that too.
Yeah, Orange County's great. The sheriff up there,
Yeah.
like there are some great people. And, we were actually just recently looking at moving to Texas. We were like, maybe it's time to just bail on California. Like we can get a lot more, could probably live off of my retirement, in a nice house, here where it's like, all right, we're trying, but it's that piece of like, well, if I give it up, then I've quit and I lose. I've given everybody else up,
Yeah.
and it's an amazing state. So
That's why we're staying.
It's-
I was like, I'll stay and fight.
yeah,
I go back and forth. I'm ready to leave. My
I don't
wife's
want to.
ready to leave, but
I don't want to.
yeah, we
but you already own a house.
I'll die on this hill.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah, we had that quick little like maybe it's time,
Yeah.
and then like that lasted about a week, and then we were like, no, we're staying.
Yeah.
Like we'll figure it out.
it is worth
So-
fighting for. It is a beautiful state with great resources, natural resources, and tons to do, and great shooters and classes. I mean, there's a lot here people don't
Yeah.
expect.
And most of the people, just like us,
Yeah, and I think the people in like San Francisco and LA are maybe getting to a breaking point of
Yeah.
like, all right, y'all are home invading
Exactly.
the celebrities' houses. Like,
Yeah.
it's got
It's getting wild.
yeah.
All right. So when this airs, the new company, Paratus Defense, is going to be full swing. So if you want to plug that, is there a website, Instagram for that?
There is ProductDefenseGroup.com.
There you go.
We'll
add it all.
add that at the little bottom
Yeah.
there. We
Mhm.
will have the Instagram up by
There
then.
we go.
It's not up right now. It's still IDD Training Group, but we'll have Paratus up.
Plug your personal or keep that separate?
Personal's fine
Okay,
too, because
yeah,
I
there you
run. I am running a lot more stuff through my personal as
Yeah.
well. At the end of the day, so
Super.
yeah.
What's your
so,
personal?
yeah. Personal is the Brett Christenson.
Nice.
So
Super
make it
rad
easy.
page to follow. I like it.
Yeah,
That was a great class today.
Great class.
Good.
Really
Glad you guys
appreciate
got
it,
something out
and
of it.
always do. And thanks to Academy for letting us film in the shoot house.
Yeah. Super
Um,
awesome.
Thanks for sticking around and doing the podcast, even though it's super hot and it was a long day.
Oh,
It means
my
a lot to
pleasure.
us.
Definitely.
Oh,
means
my
a lot.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Rad. Make sure you
Comment,
like,
subscribe.
share.
Yes. Do
all
all
that
all the
dumb
things.
stuff.
All the things.
We appreciate you guys checking us out, and see you on the next episode for the final episode
Final one.
at Rifle Supply Summer Send Off.
Woo.
Boop.